Thanks for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. What I'm going to be making today is going to be some seared pork tenderloin in a creamy pesto sauce. Now if you're looking for an easy recipe with all the tasty ingredients you want, this is it right here. Let's take a look at the ingredients. Now we're going to keep this recipe super simple. I will be having the ingredients and estimated amounts in the description below, but let's take a look at what we got. So we have some pork tenderloin here. We're going to be cutting these in about half-inch medallions. We have some gnocchi. You could buy this at your general store or Walmart. What I'm going to do off camera is we're going to be cooking these in boiling water for about 3 minutes. I'm also going to go ahead and cut these up off camera as well. We have about a half pound of bacon. I use thick cut bacon. We have that cut in strips. Just some store-bought basil or some store-bought pesto just to keep it simple. Now I'm going to be seasoning my pork with a seasoning called Tango Spice Porchetta Rub. This is going to go excellent with this. If you don't have this, use whatever seasoning you like, and even salt and pepper would be good with that. We're also going to be using some garlic. My garlic looks a little translucent because I did have that frozen before I sliced it. And some red onions. As far as these red onions go, typically I would use white, but listen, I've been on the road for about 45 days, so I'm trying to use what I have in the house right now. Some chicken stock. That's about 1.5 cups of chicken stock, and we're going to be using some heavy cream. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this up into our medallions and get our gnocchi cooked, and we'll get on with the next step when I'm done with that. So guys, we have our skillet piping hot. Like I said, I did cook our gnocchi off camera, about 3 minutes in some boiling water. And I cut our pork into medallions. So now we're going to add our bacon to our skillet. We're going to cook that down until the fat starts rendering off and the bacon gets somewhat crispy, not super crispy. Alright guys, so our bacon is pretty much cooked, kind of partially crispy, right where we want it. We're going to add our garlic to it. And we're just going to cook this down just a little bit, just to bring out a little bit of that fragrance. And that garlic is sliced. You could use minced or chopped garlic as well. We've let that garlic cook for about another 1.5 minutes, not too long. We're going to add our gnocchi to it now. We're just going to cook this until it gets kind of lightly toasted. And we kind of switch from the tongs to a spatula because we don't want to tear up this gnocchi. So we're just going to, every now and then, just kind of flip it over. And you will start seeing some of this browning on the bottom of the skillet. That is going to produce a lot of flavor down the road. Okay guys, our gnocchi is slightly brown. We're going to get this out of our skillet. And if there's not enough oil left over when we're done, we are going to hit this with, you know, a little bit of butter just to get a little bit more oil in our pan. And it does look like we're going to need it. So that is an ingredient that I did not mention earlier. So looking at this, it looks like we're going to need quite a bit more oil. And I don't mind getting a little decadent with this recipe. So we're going to add 1 full stick of butter, melt it down, and we're going to add our pork medallions to it. So while that's melting down, we're going to season up our pork tenderloin. And like I said, I'm going to be using a spice called Porchetta Rub by Tango Spice Company. I'm going to leave a link where you can buy this stuff in the description below. If you happen to be looking for a nice rub that would go good on, I use it primarily on pork and chicken, but you could probably use it on more than that. So let's season up this meat while our butter is getting melted. So now that we have this pork seasoned up, we're going to get it in our skillet. And we're just going to cook this until it gets brown on both sides. So really, all I'm going to be doing is cooking it until it releases. So what's going to happen is as it cooks, it's going to start sticking to the pan. once it releases, we're going to flip it. And you're going to want there to be a little bit of space between each of these pork tenderloins so it doesn't steam. It'll sear as opposed to steam. So that's gone a couple minutes on that side. Let's flip it over. And we're going to go a couple more minutes on this side. So that's a couple more minutes. We're going to remove our pork from our skillet. And I'm going to add our onions. Let those cook down a minute. Now see all this stuff that's stuck to the bottom of the pan? We're going to get to that in just a second. So we let that go about another minute, minute and a half. Now here's where we're going to pull up all that flavor from the bottom of the skillet. So there's our chicken stock. We're going to just kind of scrape it. And as that boils, it will release. And might as well get our basil in here as well. So I'm just eyeballing this. I'm going to say that's about 2.5 tablespoons of store-bought basil. And we will be tasting this to ensure that there's enough flavor in here. If not, we will season it accordingly. And now that it's just starting to simmer, add our heavy cream. And this recipe does not need to be super exact. So I'm going to turn this down, and I'm using an electric skillet. If you have a regular skillet at home, this will be on like a low, medium low about now. Going to add back in our gnocchi, bacon and garlic mixture. And set our medallions on top of it. We're just going to let this simmer for about 3 to 5 minutes. It's technically done right now. So I'll let this cook, let's say 2 minutes. Flip these over just to make sure sauce gets on all sides. Then when that's done, it's a wrap. We'll be plating it up and tasting it. Okay, so here's what we're looking like. I've flipped these tenderloin over. Got them all sauced up. I'm going to turn this down. It's going to naturally thicken up a bit. We're going to plate it up, see what we got. So guys, that's what it looked like all plated up. Now it's time for me and Mr. Fred Head Stare to get over here and get into this. So I'm going to scoop some of this. Now I have the gnocchi and the sauce at the bottom of this. And then we're going to just kind of plate up a little bit. Little Brussels sprouts, that's a little side action there.
Looks really good.
All right, get in.
Ooh, that's really tender.
This is fork tender right here.
Wow. Great flavor, and it's super tender.
This right here, I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong with this. Now, like I said, I kind of threw this dish together. So if you do plan on making this, it's nothing that you need to really conform to any set of ingredients. But like I said, I will try to put my estimated amounts in the description below. Anyway, anything else to say?
It's awesome.
I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. I'm going to keep trying to figure a way to get that big ass head in the picture, but until next time, appreciate you stopping by. See you on the next video.